Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. Hope you're all well who's listening and watching. But before I introduce my show regulars tonight, I wanted to say, if you're liking what you're seeing so far, hit the subscribe button on YouTube and hit the bell as well so you're notified when our videos go live. But I'm delighted to be joined by Ross, Tony Stark in his bunker in Afghanistan, and William, and Francis. How are you all?
All good,
Good,
Stephen.
Good, mate. Busy day transforming spaces, but all good.
well, look, I mean, off the back of a great European result against Furness-Farrell, Celtic returned to league action. Ross against Dundee at Dens Park, and as we always do, before we get into the game, just come to yourself in regards about the game. A brief summary. How did you feel about it? Fantastic win, all in all.
I thought we played excellent. Just turned up. I've got a bit of an echo here, by the way. Don't know. I keep hearing my voice. I keep hearing my voice coming back. That's really bad, actually.
How do you agree with you having to listen to every week?
Oh, no, eh?
As you
we'll
were
just
saying,
run with
Rob, as you were saying, yeah, go ahead.
We'll just run with it. No, it's gone. I think it's gone. We're all good. I thought we played brilliant yesterday. It was a really good performance. And
sounds like an echo. I've heard that before.
Right, start again.
Keep going.
I'll come back in. It was a really good performance. I thought Jota, Kyle, the front three were immense. And if they continue to play, certainly in an attacking sense, in the vein that they have in the last two games against Ferencváros and Dundee, then I think it's going to get to the point where the Celtic fans will just turn up and play tag because we're going to win. But it was just a really good day, unlike the Livingston game that I covered with, can't mind who I was on with. I think it was Anthony and yourself and John. But unlike that game, we were just free flowing, and it makes a difference when the onus is on, obviously, Dundee a bit because they're the home team to have a go, but they were a bit more open than Livingston, and you have to say, in Livingston's defence, as much as I didn't like it, they proved that, like, if you keep tight, then you can get a result, whereas if you open up against Celtic, you're going to get picked off at will, certainly domestically. They can really hurt teams when they come out, so you have to say Livingston, probably their game plan was right to play against us. But great day yesterday, and another brilliant result off the back of last Thursday.
Yeah, 100%. And William, away 4 million a season, it was shocking. But I mean, Anne's and Celtics found a way to win, and quite comfortably, as we've seen on the weekend there. Yeah,
definitely starting to mould and take into his style and the way he wants to play. I echo everything Ross is saying. I thought we were tremendous going forward. Couple of iffy moments at the back as usual, but some of the stuff we're playing is just absolutely breathtaking. You get to the point where the goal's scored and you're just like, you don't even cheer because you're just like, wow. That's free flowing. The front three are just Kyogo and Jota as well. I know we'll go into depth a bit more about the game and certainly the goals, and but there's some big performances. Ralston again. So just the train keeps going. We'll keep going.
The Anne's Postecoglou train's in full swing. And I know that me saying coming to yourself, Francis, is quite a controversial thing now, apart from YouTube. There's a guy said every time I said he needs to take a shot, so I'm going to hold you to account of that, so you're going to have to. But coming to yourself, how did you feel about the game?
That wasn't me taking a shot, by the
way. Yeah, just like the two boys have said there, just it was comfy. The two goals we lost are silly goals, but obviously we'll come into them and that. But it was, like Ross said and William said there, it's when a team kind of opens up a wee bit and has a wee go, we do just pick them off. It plays into our hands, I feel like, and their attacking players really can cause damage, and you see how well they perform and stuff, and it's nice times ahead if we keep playing like this, Stephen.
100% agree with that. And we'll talk about player performances, William. And the daily duo on this podcast is me and Franny, but Celtic have their own, and that's Kyogo and Jota. These guys are fantastic. And as Ross said, Celtic fans will be turning up just expecting to win. And I know there's going to be many bumps in the road, but for now, it's just free-flowing football, and especially Jota. How have we ended up with him?
No idea. I think he's the first. I think he's the first player to come to us that has lived up to the YouTube highlights. He's just been, especially yesterday, he was everywhere. There was not a bloody class he didn't. He was popped up on the left, then he's on the right, and for the fourth goal, it was just he dropped the shoulder, and the boy was left on the floor, and bag of tricks, which is what we've been screaming out last year. We were all on this podcast talking about how there's no width, and like the Celtic way has always been about wingers and flair, and this guy's got the lot. I'd be paying the money right now. I'd be offering him a 30-year contract, and I'd just get him tied down because he's just different class.
Yeah, he's fantastic, and like as William said there, this guys came, and yes, we all jumped on the YouTube bandwagon as we always do. Prime example, Amido Balde. He scored goals on YouTube, but definitely not for Celtic. But this guy is skills, and he's tracking back now, which is what Postecoglou likes to see. And he's probably, for me, alongside Kyogo, the best player in the SPL. I mean, by far.
100%. And like, I'll steal this from for well. Apparently, Amido Balde's YouTube pilots aren't that good. Apparently, they're not good, and I've got that. I'm sure William brought that up once, but Yota's ones that he's definitely living up to it, and it kind of excites me as similarly how Sinclair sort of excited me, how he's taking the league by storm and stuff. But Yota's obviously got more of a trick, I would say, than Sinclair. But I'd be paying that money, and there's no way we can make a loss in this guy. I know it's $6.5 million is a lot of money in Scotland, but even at that, I can't see how, if he performs the way he's doing, there's no way we can make a loss in him. And it's just like William said, that like getting the ball down, his wee change of pace, drops his what, he's got that trick up his sleeve. He's the type of player that gets bums off seats, the type of player you want to see playing for your football team. And his first instinct is always try to go forward. But in that, like, as much as like a tricky winger and stuff, he never seems to try and overdo it and beat the guy 3 or 4 times. He always seems to does it enough, and then he plays the pass in the right time. And that, so he seems very intelligent. He's definitely really, really playing in confidence now, and like he's high in confidence. And like you say, he's tracking back a lot, so he's actually buying in more to the Postecoglou way, where he wants and needs guys to track back, especially when you're playing with the sort of inverted fullbacks and stuff. So it obviously leaves the width, the wide, the park sort of a lot of space to exploit. So you need like a bad or whoever's playing out wide to track back. So it's all looking positive. I mean, what is it, 7 or 8 goals or something? Then probably the same assists in that. It's you've got to pay the money for that. You can't 100%. You just can't argue with what he's giving you right now.
I like the fact you brought up Sinclair, and I'll come to yourself for this, Ross. That's another shot, by the way, who commented last week. But come to yourself about it. I mean, I said to McGranda, turned around him straight away and goes, Jota or Sinclair? And without hesitation, he said Jota. And I asked him why, and he just said, as William said, we were crying out for wingers to take players on. A wee trick in the skill and the end product, which Jota has. But who would you have?
I don't know. It's a really good question, and it's let's just be happy that we've had both. I don't think I can pick, and I don't want to pick. I loved Sinclair, and I love him for what he done at Celtic, and I'm loving what Jota's doing right now. So don't make me choose. It's not fair.
See, if they don't pay the money for Jota, by the way, there will be absolute anarchy and chaos.
I know.
Oh, they will. They will. It's
got to. By the way, Fanny's bang on the mark as well for 6.5. We're obviously going to sell him on at some point. You're going to double that at least.
Aye. Oh, absolutely.
So and the way he's, for me, like Kyogo, has bought into everything the club is. You can see he's loving it here with the fans. He's interacting. He's just, it's a no-brainer. I think he'll want to stay. We want him to stay.
You can see it. You can see it in his face. His demeanour. He's like, you just know he's happy to be here, and he's loving his football. And why not?
The players, they're going to the fans at the end of every game, including the away games, and they're dancing away with them. And he was right at the front with a big smile on his face, doing it yesterday. He's loving it. So let's just get it done in January. Get it signed.
I think the way Postecoglou was speaking after the game, Francis, that's kind of the option he's going to try and take up. And the reporter said to him, is it confirmed the Celtic have the option to buy with obviously first refusal? And he said yes. But again, as Ross rightly said there, you can see it in this guy's emotion, his face. And yes, we get a lot of loan players that come to Celtic. Paddy Roberts, prime example, never really committed. I mean, he came on loan, but never kind of signed that permanent deal. But are you confident Jota will, if he sees his future with Celtic?
Yes and no. Yes, in the fact that, like William and Ross has just touched on there, you can see he's buying into it. He seems to love the interaction with the fans and stuff. But then, like, it sounds silly saying, and it is silly saying the longer it drags on. I mean, the guy's only been here 2 minutes, and that's not even January yet. So I don't know why we're really worried about getting a deal done. We have got first option. We know what we need to pay, and then Celtic have got the money to pay that. We have got the money, but it's all down to, does Jota want to stay? He could maybe, the ball's kind of in his court in a way, because he's playing, he's flying. I'm not saying he's maybe got to get back in the Benfica squad, but maybe a team down in England will be looking at him, other teams in Europe, and he might be going, if I keep playing this, because we all know what agents are like. Maybe his agents in his ear and going, here, by the way, if you just sort of wait this out, and that we know Celtic want you, and that it's maybe something to fall back on. Let's see what other options. I know that's maybe no nice to hear in that, but maybe that's me just overthinking it too much. I don't know, but I think the way he's playing now, that he's in a good position, and so Celtic, to be fair, because we're getting the benefit of the guy. Then I think if we pay the money, he doesn't stay. We know it's because he didn't want to stay at the end of the day. So I think, providing Celtic cough up the money, we'll come out of it okay, in the sense that they'll have done all they can, really.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And we'll dive into the goals, Ross. And Jota got 2, Kyogo got 2, Ralston come off of 2 assists, which is fantastic for him again. And obviously Jota got an assist, but the pick of the bunch for me was Kyogo's last goal. I mean, that was fantastic. One touch, bang, the left off the post into the net. It was fantastic. But what was your favourite goal out of that?
I probably the fourth as well. It was a total wow goal. Basically, it was like, as you say, Jota picks it up. He's the wee sort of step over, the drop of the shoulder, the 1-2. He carries on his run, plays the perfect ball. Well, it was a great ball into feet, but it comes into Kyogo, and he's still got loads to do there, like loads. And he just, first time finish is absolutely world class. And that's not an exaggeration. It was a world class finish. But it's like we've touched on, just going forward, if teams open up a wee bit against us, we're just cutting through teams with that front three. It's really, really good to watch. And you talk about Ralston, I'm giving him 3 assists. I'm giving him 3. That shot.
I think I've officially got them, Ross. I think I've officially got them.
Comes back off the post. It's not the greatest shot. There's a wee deflection, comes back out, and then you've got, this is what I like about the front three as well. It's like we've been playing with one striker for so long now, and then you're getting rebounds off the post, and there's guys like Jota or Abada just mop them up and picking up goals. Jota and Abada have picked up a lot of goals with just rebounds, and I mean, it's maybe not as nice as the fourth goal, but they all couldn't. I mean, Kyogo scoring a header as well. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? How's he get free header in the middle of the goals? But everything is just. I'm saying everything's looking good. Certainly going forward, it's looking brilliant. Defensively, there's still questions which we'll touch on. But I think if Celtic are going to lose 2 goals per game and they're scoring 4, and the 2 goals essentially in the context of the game each time, I don't think we ever looked and bother or looked like we were going to relinquish a lead or drop points in that game. They're consolation goals. Even at 2-1, I was watching it with Franny, I turned around to Franny and says, that's a consolation, that goal, even though it's 2-1, because this will be like 4-5-1 today. Obviously, it wasn't 4-5-1, but you know that you get the sentiments. You get the sentiments. So, if Celtic are conceding 2 consolation goals, I think Postecoglou has alluded to the fact that the way we play, we're going to concede goals, but you bet we're going to score more than you 96% of the time. So it's enjoyable football to watch. I nearly forgot how to count from 95 to 96 there, but anyway.
And William, I seen yourself smile every time Ross mentioned Kyogo, and he brings a smile to every Celtic fan's face. And he rightly said there, a header for the wee man, free in the box, a fantastic finish. Yada, again, brilliant point out, Ross, that he kind of scored from that rebound that Abada was doing early on in the season. But the goals, all in all, they all count. But again, the pick of the bunch was that fourth goal.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I texted you boys in the group chat and says that Kyogo's fast becoming, my love for Kyogo's fast becoming like the King and KT and all them. He's just puts a smile on your face, like you say, every time. His movement is unbelievable and he works so hard. The goals were excellent. Ralston was an absolute machine again. I mean, for the goal, was it the third goal, I think? He absolutely ragdolls the guy and puts him into the goal's edge.
Charlie Adam.
Charlie Adam.
Another wonderful. He must have been watching last week because I said, and last week I said that if the Player of the Year awards were tomorrow, he'd be a front runner for me, Ralston, and nothing changed my mind there. But I also said that if there was one thing that was lacking, it's his finding the ball.
We both
and then he goes and grabs 2 assists.
That cross was amazing.
He was awesome, and I got the shout out again for Beaton. I thought he was brilliant in the middle of the park again, especially the highlight when he skinned 4 boys and then got wiped out. He's making it very difficult for Ange to bring in the likes of McCarthy or Rogic when he's back, because I've always said I prefer Kalmack in the number 8 role, that box to box role. Beaton's slipped in there and he's been absolutely superb since coming in. And Jota, just what can you say about him, man? And they two, Jota and Kyogo. I watched an interview a few weeks back, and Jota was saying about how Kyogo's learning English, but he doesn't know it any yet. So they're not really communicating verbally, but on the park they're definitely communicating, and I think we can all see that every week.
Well, football's a universal language, isn't it? I mean, if you get it, you get it. And at the end of the day, Jada did say, Francis, he's learning Japanese to try and throw wee phrases at him, and by all means, it's working. And as William said, like the guys, the goal scorers, Ralston, he ragdolled Charlie Adam. I laughed my ballycroft, by the way, that happened. The fact that he tried to get up and get back out to him, it was like, oh my god, he was totally done. But
it looked like Ralston was in one of the Zorban balls and Charlie Adam had forgot him.
And you could tell he was proper fizzing, Franny, but the composure from Ralston to whip that ball in, Kyogo with a header. I mean, it was great play all around, wasn't it?
Totally, because it could have been, like, obviously you hear the sort of ironic cheers coming for the Celtic fans, and it could have been easy for Ralston to get caught up in that a wee bit, maybe try to take him on and lose it, but no, he's concentrating in that, and then just he whips in a great crossing. I've got to stick my hands up as well, like William. I said that his crossing wasn't that great, and then he's got 2 assists for crosses at the weekend and stuff. But yeah, going forward, brilliant. And then like Jota, if he's actually trying to learn Japanese, that's if anything, that's probably good for team morale and stuff. It will help Kyogo sort of. It shows that guys are, and for me, that just shows the whole team are playing for each other. It shows a good sort of a unit within the team, that guys are going out their way to try and learn a different language and stuff like that. So it shows everybody sort of fighting for the same cause and stuff. And yeah, Kyogo just it doesn't seem to do anything. It's just everything he does in it is just like he just does it again. It's just scores a header, scores another wonder goal, and he's moving. And then he surprises again at the weekend. It turns out he's a wee bastard too, and it's brilliant. He's taking the piss of the Dundee defenders and that. He's like laughing because they're calling him small and that. Then I celebrating in front of him. It's like, oh, well, I thought he was the nicest guy in the world, but it turns out he's a wee prick too, and it's brilliant. It's like, oh, superb for the wee boy, man.
See the amount of things. I don't know if you've just seen it, especially today on Twitter, like people calling Kyogo out and putting up tweets about him saying he's a cheat, he's this and that. But as Franny said,
he needs to watch him what he's doing with that carry on. But I'm not like that could have been sore what he done. But I don't think there's anything. I don't think it's a foul or anything. I think he's tried to maybe buy a foul. It could be so, but I think referees and stuff will look at things like that and be like, maybe there'll be a genuine time and we might not get anything from it. But
I do think as well, Franny, though, he's smart. He's a really smart, intelligent guy. Like, I mean, he knows how to play the game, and
Okay.
For all we know, the Japanese league, people do say it's a great standard. So he's been playing against top quality opposition all his life, and he knows the tricks. Like, and if he can do them with Celtic, he's going to do them.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It's just like the dirty arts, isn't it? It's try to win fouls that maybe aren't necessarily there. But no, I've not got so much in it. I just think he needs to be careful in the sense that referees do take that into consideration, I would imagine.
100% agree. And William, you mentioned Beaton, and I'm going to come to you guys as well, but I mean, you love Ange Postecoglou, you love Anthony Ralston, now you're falling in love with Beaton all over again, but do you genuinely believe that he gives Cal McGregor a kind of a free roam in midfield?
Yes. I think we discussed it at length at the start of the season about trying to get Calmac, Turnbull and Rogic in the team, and like there is a time and a place for that because we've played some scintillating football, and for me Rogic on his day is unplayable. I think he showed that at Hibs in one half, but to get the best out of Cal McGregor, for me he needs to play that number 8 role, that box to box, and I think he's so much more effective in between the lines going forward, breaking through. So in order to do that, you need somebody to sit, and I think Beaton's been brilliant the last few weeks doing that. I think the likes of McCarthy can be very good in that position. Calmac can obviously play that role. He's been brilliant. Like Franny always says, he's always a 7 or 8 out of 10, and sitting in that role he does. But for me, you just lose so much of his best attributes, and the likes of Beaton breaking up play, and then letting the likes of Calmac drive with the ball, play these 1-2s, get in between the lines. For me, that's his number one position, and if I could get him there every game, I would.
Yeah, I think the tough question is, Ross, as William did allude to there, Beaton's great at breaking up the play and playing a simple pass, and what I seen yesterday against Dundee, he wasn't afraid to spread the ball forward, and he made some key passes, but is it a case of, if Rodgers comes back, is he straight back in the team, or do you think if it's working hard as now with Beaton, will he keep it the same?
I'm not sure. I think it's obviously a good problem to have. I agree with Wally then in the sense that McGregor in that 8 role a bit further forward, he probably is. It's better. It's better for McGregor himself. I think he plays better there. But I mean, you've got to look at Rogic. That guy gives you a lot as well. Do you know what I mean? You can't ignore that. His feet. He can create something out of nothing. So I think a bit of rotation with guys like Rogic, Beaton, McCarthy is good for the team. I don't think either Beaton, McCarthy or Rogic have absolutely nailed their spot down in the team. But I mean, before Rogic got injured, you can't argue he was doing the business, and we were winning games. Since the last international break, we've won, 6 for 7 or 5 for 6, something like that.
7 from 8. 7 from 8.
Oh well, totally wrong then, eh? But
I think I watched the 2 European games, eh?
I think it depends who you're playing as well, Ross. If
absolutely.
If you're away to Leverkusen, you're probably looking to stick Beaton in there to protect.
You're playing Beaton, aye. 100%,
but if you're at home to Dundee, then you just let big sexy Tam Rogic just get the ball at his feet and let him do what he wants to do.
I agree with that. Yeah. What about say in the game at New Year against Rangers? Do you go with Beaton in that game, or do you go with Rogic? Eh? I mean, it's a game you want to beat them at home, but you want to watch what you're doing. You want to win that midfield battle. I'm awfully glad I'm not Ange Postecoglou, put it that way.
Great point.
That's a good point.
Franny, what do you say to Ross? I'll let you have this one.
I think I'm going with Beaton just for a wee bit of security there. Just for a wee bit of security, but
I agree. Listen, there's no right or wrong answer.
No.
You could make. There's pros and cons for both.
Make a case for both. But I think just like you have said, you're sort of try to manage the game, pick it on the game, and I would probably go with in that fixture. If that fixture was tomorrow, I would be putting Beaton in. Like if we're saying Rogic is fitting, flying and stuff, if that game was tomorrow, I would be pulling Beaton. If
I had the choice, I would probably go with Wanyama. I'd take him back in a heartbeat, by the way.
Oh,
just so you know.
I can't believe William tried to dig me out for that. Like when
Well, forever saying
there was about 3 podcasts where all you said was you could never go back to old players, and then you bring that up.
But what player was it? What player was it? Do you know what I mean? Wanyama is
Sviatchenko, I think it was one of them.
Exactly. Sviatchenko was never really a regular or a star player for Celtic.
But your whole point was we should be looking forward. We should never go back. This guy's he's only 30-year-old, but he is aging. You should never look back. But I want Wanyama in the team.
I would think. I think he gives you something totally different for Beaton, McCarthy, or Rogic. I think he gives you more dig than any of the three they put together. So I would have him back at Parkhead.
I just have visions of him. And remember that famous Barcelona game? Messi just bouncing off him at points in that game. He was just bang, bang. That's sometimes what you need, William. That's where I'm coming from. And I do genuinely believe that the Celtic midfield would be better without Beaton than without Wanyama than with him in the team.
I think if that's a hard one. I think if he was at the club, I don't know if he'd be starting right now. I think he would be a decent option. I just don't see how I don't see him as a sitting midfielder. I see him as that number 8 that would boss people in, but he would drive forward and all the rest of it as well. So I just don't see how you can put him in that midfield 3. Because that's Kalmack and Turnbull for me.
See, I do see him as a sitter now as a 30-year-old. I don't think he's got the same energy to play that number 8 role. I think he would be better. But I mean, he's not at Celtic, so it's a very moot point.
But obviously, for people who's listening to watching, that's obviously going off the basis of what he said in an interview, and he would love to come back to Celtic. So we're not just discussing Wanyama for some random reason. But look, we'll move on to the 2 goals Dundee scored, Franny. And the word defensive errors. For me, the first one, the cross ball, Stephen Welsh gets caught under it and he ends up flat in his face. The second goal, Joe Hart comes out and tries to play Superman. Probably one of 2 mistakes he's made in the Celtic shirt, but these are the sort of mistakes. And I do get what you said, Ross. If we can sink 2 every game and score 4, yeah, I get that. But we do need to cut them stupid errors out, don't we, Francis?
You want to be hard to score against, and well, we essentially are when we have got the best defensive record in the league. So on the face of it, we are hard to beat or hard to score against. But I think it said in the Dundee game, I think we've conceded something, was it 9 goals or 11 goals or something? It's like 8 or 9 of them have came from crosses, which isn't great. So we know where the weak link is. It's from cross balls. So I suppose in basic terms, if you can sort that out, maybe try and stop the cross at source, then we've got to be even harder to beat. But I think when you maybe sort of look into that stat a wee bit, we're losing the goals for crosses because with your Ralstons and your Juranovic are playing that inverted fullback, so there is space out wide for the sort of attacking players in that sense to maybe get crosses in. You would obviously have to go back and look at every goal in isolation to then look at their position to then say that. But the first one for Dundee, if a Dundee point of view, it was a good goal. It was a nice cross in, nice header. But yeah, you do actually see, when you see the replay, Stephen Welsh has a wee look over his shoulder to see where his man's meant to be. And I think that wee sort of a split second makes him lose track of the flight of the ball. And then the second one, it's Joe Hart's just, don't know if it's maybe a lack of concentration, just we're up 4-1 in that, and he's just came flying out, tried to clear it, and just had an absolute howler, really made a shocker. But like he says, I think that's 2 mistakes he's made since he's been here, so it's not trying to excuse it, but I'm not got to get a big pile on him for it. It's 2 mistakes he's had, and one was in the Petite game, and then this one. But so one's cost us, one hasn't really. So it's not the world's worst. It's not great, but it's not something that deserves a big pile on, I feel like.
No, 100% get that. And what I'm trying to allude to, Ross, is, I mean, Francis makes a great point in terms of Welsh. He did have that look over. He got caught under the ball, therefore he ended up flat in his face. But again, it's not a pile on. It's just these errors seem to be kind of just killing Celtic's game a wee bit. I mean, the performance in a whole against Dundee was fantastic, but to get that complete performance that Postecoglou wants and he's striving for, we need to cut them errors out at the back. That's what I'm trying to say.
Aye, I mean, you're never going to get a perfect performance all the time, and I mean, at the moment, I was going to say Celtic are leaking goals, but it's like Franny's alluded to there. They're actually got a good defensive record. I think it's just because we are supporters. We just don't want to see our team losing goals, but they can't stop the ball from getting into their net all the time. They can do better. Of course they can. You could analyse every single goal that a team loses and pick faults in it, but I mean, the first Dundee goal, like Franny says, it's a good goal for their point of view. It's a good cross into an area where, all right, Welsh gets caught underneath it, but Hart can't really come for it. And the boy just gets a flick on for about 6 yards out. There's nothing Hart can do. Okay, the second goal, like we've said, it was a howler for Hart. He's came out, he's tried to command his box and just totally misjudged the flight of the ball and got caught in no man's land. It was just lucky that it was a consolation. But, I mean, I can accept it, like I've said, if I'm watching us playing free-flowing, exhilarating at times football, I can put up with maybe losing a goal here and there at the back. But you're right. You have to cut out the silly mistakes, and certainly for the second one, it was a silly mistake.
Yeah, again, William, do you think it's boredom for Joe Hart because coming out making these random he wants to get involved in the game. He just tries to clean someone out.
I think a lot of the time, like our centre halves or defenders in general, just they don't seem like they want it enough. Like coming and trying to clear the ball. And maybe Joe's thought, I'm needing to come and claim this. I mean, we are scrutinising the Franny's bang, and we've got the best defensive record. But I think it's a matter of the fact that we're seeing it's the same goal we're seeing conceded over and over again. It's not like I watched the highlights again just before we came on, just to have a look again, and see for that first goal, we've got 8 men in our own box defending that, and nobody gets a head on the ball, and McGowan twinkle toes in between about 3 of them. The only thing worse than the defending was that head of hair he's got.
You talking to me?
No.
McGowan.
No.
Jesus.
Yours is bad. Not as bad as McGowan's.
Looks like the Flymo's cut out halfway through your gear then. But for me, I like Angel was. Everybody keeps going on about this. The way we play football, we're going to concede goals. But the goals we're conceding now aren't from us throwing men forward. It's just simple individual errors. It's not us on the attack and getting caught in the counter. It's cross balls and people not being in the right spaces. And for me, I don't think anybody wants it enough. There's nobody like a Billy McNeil or a Bobo or something that would jump through walls, even a Stephen McManus or that. And it just seems like Yama, stick him in there. He'll win every header. So for me, it's individual errors. But like Ross says, see if we're scoring goals like we're scoring goals. We could concede however many a game, as long as we're scoring goals like that, then I'm happy. But for me, it's not the football we're playing, the attacking football we're playing that's causing these. It's individual errors. And
we're not being cut open at any point either.
No.
Like you say, it's just cross balls. Every other aspect of the game, defensively, we're probably doing right, except for defending cross balls.
Yeah.
I think we probably made a miss Carl Starfelt yesterday in the box. He would have probably attacked that. As you said, William, you miss that kind of guy with the guts and thunder to go up for a ball and head it. And I mean, we give Starfelt stick. Well, I did personally, and John, my co-host, he stood by him, and it spurred the fruits because he has been fantastic until he got injured. But look, we'll move on, and it'd be kind of ignorant of us to ignore the protest that every person seen who watched that game at Dens Park. The tennis balls are thrown onto the pitch from the Green Brigade in protest to the rumoured appointment of Brendan Higgins as some sort of security role within Celtic. But I'll come to yourself, Ross, and Ross first for this one. Postecoglou got praise for the way he dealt with that, for the tough. Stop laughing, Francis. For the tough
his face.
for the tough questions that it was posed to him by certain reporters, and he basically did come across and say, look, people have the right to express themselves. However, he would not want it to be in the 90 minutes of football, but he didn't really kind of pick a side or choose a side. He just kind of stayed in the middle. But how are you feeling about this whole thing? Because it's been dragging on for weeks now. There was the the 30-minute silent protest against Livingston. Is this a thing that Celtic does need to just kind of squash and come out and say they're not appointing them, or what do you think should happen?
Well, they need to come out either way and say what's happening, because otherwise we're just going to get absolute fucking nonsense like we got yesterday. It was a shambles that yesterday. The silent protest didn't really have a problem with that. It was just what the Green Brigade do. They come to the game to support the team, but they always have this sideshow. We are as big, if no bigger, than the club sometimes, and it boils my blood. But I just thought that yesterday. I thought Postecoglou hit the nail on the head. We didn't, like, you can have your causes or whatever, but for the 90 minutes we all need to be together, especially the now, when we're going through this process transition. Everybody needs to be pulling the same way, and throwing tennis balls onto the park. I know the game had only kicked off, it probably didn't. Well, obviously didn't ruin our rhythm or anything like that, but just behave. Just stop doing daft things like that. It's just embarrassing. It just gives the club's fans across the city ammunition to have a go. I seen something the day, and it was like their shite tifos or whatever, and then it was like a photo underneath it of the tennis balls, and it was like Scotland shame or something. And I was like, what? I'm like, that's just like having a dig for no reason. It's absolutely got nothing to do with like the Poppy thing and all that. It was a completely separate entity, but just ignore the facts to suit your narrative, basically. But going back to the Green Brigade, because I could go on about them all day, and it's not going to be healthy. So I'll just leave it at that.
I think what you say, Ross, to be fair, like the Green Brigade are very divisive within the Celtic support, William, and Ross made a great point. Postecoglou nailed it in the head. The 90 minutes of football, look, be together. If you want to protest in other means, he wasn't against it. He never said he was against it. And I think one of the banners that the Celtic support held up basically said, "The ball is in your court, Nicholson," which is referring to the new chief executive that none of us have heard from. But I do personally think it's imperative that at least someone from the club lets us know what's happening. Otherwise, as Ross said, we're going to have this kind of thing every week.
I agree. I'm actually, you know what, I'm going to read what Ange said, because I think it's absolutely spot on. And exactly. So he says, "We live in a society where people are allowed to express themselves, and I have no problem with that. But what I will ask is that it doesn't disturb the 90 minutes of football. That's when I want us to be united, the whole football club, because ultimately that's what we're all here for." Exactly. That would be my preference, but there's an avenue for people to express themselves if they aren't happy with something. That's not a bad thing. But for us to be a successful team, we need everyone united for that during that precious 90 minutes. Now, first of all, I feel for his wife, because you can never win an argument with this guy. He's always got an answer. The media,
I wonder where you were going with that there.
I was like, what?
You can never ever win an argument, because he's always got an answer for these things. Second of all,
a diplomatic one.
Aye. And he'll have you questioning exactly what you're saying. Wait a minute, I was arguing with him a minute ago. Now he's got me on side. But he's bang on, and especially in this day and age, there's so many avenues you can go to voice your opinion. And I think Ross is banging the money when he says they make it about themselves and not the football or the football club or everything else. I mean, we're all here to support the club. They're going to make decisions. Not everybody's going to agree on them. That's just life. There's, like we said, plenty of avenues, and for me, that's just not the way you go about it.
I mean, that's fair enough. Again, Francis, as I said, the guys the Green Brigade are divisive, and they have good support, they've minimal support. And people don't know what kind of support they have within regular Celtic fans. But as you can see with Ross and William, it's divided. What about yourself? How did you feel about it?
The banner, like just have the banner. You don't need to chuck the tennis balls on, or if like as stupid as the tennis balls, do it before the game kicks off or something. There's no need to wait to the game. I know it's probably got more of an impact because it's highlighting it more when the game starts, but you've got the banner. The banner was big enough. It's same what it needs to say. You had obviously a silent protest, and then no doubt there'll be more protests the longer this drags on. Personally, for myself, I don't think, but what I do know about this banner thing, I don't think he should be employed at all at Celtic Park for what he's done. for Celtic
I
fans.
agree.
I don't think he should be there. But at the same token, I 100% agree with what Ross and William was saying in terms of like your protest during the game and stuff. Support the team for 90 minutes during the game and stuff. Me with the Green Brigade, I'm sort of 50-50 sometimes with like, I'm either the day my tits in or I'm on side with them. Like Kings, like some of the displays they do are brilliant. They're brilliant.
Yeah. Aye.
Then some of the stuff you're like,
the bad outweighs the good.
Aye. Oh, it's like, and then the amount of times we've had fines for them because of flares and it, you're like, but then they're obviously getting let in with these, and they have got a say within Celtic, and I think that doesn't help matters because like they do bring a lot of atmosphere to the game and stuff, but also I think that makes them feel big. Like Ross said, it makes them feel bigger than they actually are.
They think they're bigger than the average Joe fan.
Oh, 100%. Like they're a supporter group that, and for a neutral maybe or some tourists coming in, they would look a good supporters group because of what they do in that. They've got that kind of partisan type atmosphere that you see across Europe and stuff. But then when you see them in the regular and see some of the stuff you're doing, you're just like, oh, just shut up, mate. Just give a break. But I'm 1 week I'm off for them, then the next week I'm like, oh, they're just, for me, they're all just daft laddies. But
I'm like Franny, by the way. I'm not like, I don't know what did it to sound like I'm like
that's
all,
what I'm like.
all con pro Green Brigade, because I do think they do a lot of good as well. And like, see the likes of the banner last week, I've not got any problem with that. But there's when it's stuff that's affecting the game, that's what I'm talking about. There's other avenues.
100%.
The banners, not all banners have been great. Let's face it.
No.
But the one last week,
No.
I don't mind. It's not. I don't think that's offensive.
No.
And like, obviously, Celtic are known for the atmosphere the fans bring, and the Green Brigade are the essence of that. They're the driving force behind that. European nights, I used to have my ticket stand at like the block next to them, and even midweek Tuesday night games at 7:45 against St Mirren, and it's fucking howling, pissing with rain in the winter. They're still there banging the drums, singing the songs, and it's the atmosphere. That's what we like. That's what we all want. So there's many pluses, but when it starts to interfere with the clubs and the game in general, that's when I'm like, oh, for fuck. That's when everybody's like, oh, here we fucking go again.
Aye.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, one banner I totally agree with, I don't know if you guys seen it, was basically the unfurled it was basically them comparing Jada's hair to mine. I think that's a fair comment.
Nah.
The wee George Michael number.
It's not getting talked about enough, boys. Look at that. Wind swept.
Is that why you're done? Are you growing that out for the Christmas night out? Are you going to get the blonde streaks in it and the big middle shed number?
Got the wee highlights all to go on the front.
Stephen arrived here on his motorbike.
leather jacket and the aviator shades on and that.
But look, as you guys said, I mean, it's all the faces, so we'll move on from that topic and we'll go on to the international break. Again, another slog of international football. Yes, it's important for some national teams, William, Scotland maybe as well, for their fixtures coming up. But, I mean, Postecoglou confirmed there's going to be a lot of players. There's going to be doing some fitness work, the likes of McCarthy, Forrest, them types of players. Are you expecting any of them to make a big impact when the next fixture comes around against St Johnstone?
Not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
Sure.
I think the last few weeks, the fact that we've been able to sub on our front three has been magic. And to substitute, I think it's a decent front three to have. These guys all need minutes. They need work. Forrest, you can tell Forrest is nowhere near where he needs to be. There's flashes of brilliance. I don't know why he's not shooting when he rounds the keeper on Sunday there. But again, he did brilliant to lay it on a plate for Big Gio. So there's flashes there. Mikey Johnson as well. Again, he's, to use Franny's favourite phrase, he's probably a jot of a wish. He's trying to do the same things, but he's just nowhere near that level. But he's slowly coming back as well. And I feel for Big Giamakis. I think there's definitely a player in there, and there's definitely a goal scorer there.
Like he's tried to have.
But when you're only getting 10, 15 minutes a game, it's so hard to show. And I feel for him, like, see, to go back to the Joe Hart issue. I think this is how fickle some fans are, and I totally disagreed with it a couple of weeks ago when Big Gio missed the penalty. John touched on it in one of the podcasts about how the fans proper went after him and said he shouldn't play for the club again and all that's nonsense, right? See if Joe Hart makes that mistake he made yesterday and we lose 1-0. Is that what the fans are going to say about him? Even because he's been immense for us. Big Gio's not had a chance.
Some of them probably would.
Ridiculous. I think he'll hit the ground running soon. I think once he gets minutes under his belt, and if he's getting the service Kyle got yesterday, he's getting a hat trick. So the guys are getting minutes. Hopefully, Big Ange said that there's a few going to be needing a rest in the international break, and there's a few going to be working hard. So I think it's come at a decent time for us, and hopefully these guys hit the ground running and we get back to action.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and you make a great point, William, in terms of Giacomakis or Giamakis or Giacomakis, whatever way you want to say it. And he does. I give him an absolutely torrid time for missing that penalty, and the reason why I'll back it up is because Juranovic on the pitch, 2 from 2, should have smacked that for me. He should have hit it. He should have been on pens until he missed one at least. But that discussion we had.
Agree, but if we won that game 2 or 3-0, you wouldn't have went after him like you did.
Well, do you know something? I'll actually say this. I don't know if you guys seen it. There was a few Twitter tweets going about today comparing him with Albinieri already. And it's like, do you know what I mean? But come into yourself, Ross. Now, Postecoglou said Forrest is going to be doing fitness work. And if it's a case of he's fully fit, would you be throwing him in next week ahead of Abada?
Who is it we're playing? St Johnstone in the...
St Johnstone.
Is it in the semi-final?
In the cup, aye.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Interesting.
I mean, you could throw him in. It wouldn't detract for the team any. But again, it's getting minutes under his belt. I think maybe just easing him into some games. I know I said last week I would have thrown him in against Ferencvaros, but that was with the understanding that he was ready to go, which he obviously isn't, and he will be doing fitness work, but he still will not have played actual games of football by the time St Johnstone comes around. So I'd probably stick with the status quo sort of thing and go with the same team that we've played the last 2 games that have absolutely wrapped it up. Barring maybe if I don't know if Starfelt will be back fit. If he's back fit, he could come back in. But then at the same time, Stephen Welsh just came in for the cold and had 2 really, really good performances, no glaring mistakes. So, as I say, we're starting, like we've touched on previous podcasts, we're starting to get options in all over the park, and the squad doesn't look as threadbare. So that's why we're talking about would you play this guy? Would you play that guy? It's good conversations to have because it means the team are doing well and it's starting to get more depth, and I'm all for that. So, if Forrest wants to play.
It's a far cry at the start of the season when William was discussing Liam Shaw being a regular starter in that midfield role, isn't it?
Wait, I'm a 4-1
Aye, only because he's at Parkhead and Wanyama's no.
But look, Franny, another over. Go ahead, William. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, just totally agree with it. I don't see how you can go with any other 11 than 11 that's been playing the last 3 or 4 weeks. And again, like Ross touched on it, we've not been caught in behind or anything. I think that as much as we've lost goals, again, I think it's individual errors. I think it's in the team in the shape. We're playing well and defending well, and going forward, we're absolutely electric. And I think about that, yes, he's pretty inconsistent. He's a young boy. One game he's unplayable, the next game he's maybe missing. But I think you just stick with that same 11 because they're just electric now.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. But again, it's as Ross said, the squad depth, Francis, is getting better and the bench is getting stronger. And can I also say, I'm loving this Adidas trackie you've got on. It's caught me eye, like it's very nice. Cheers. But what? But what do you think about the McCarthy, Forrest? Who can make an impact? Who could come into the first team?
I think you could argue a case for both of them because, like we said, McCarthy's not really made the impact we thought he would. It looks like it's down to sort of fitness and stuff, and then Forrest is obviously coming back, and like we all know what Forest can do. I don't need to sit here and talk for 10 minutes on what Forest can do. If, like, the stats are there for it. It's like 99 goals, 99 assists, and that we know what we can get for Forest. So if I don't know what the chances are, maybe I know it's not really the same, but you could maybe try and get a wee sort of a bounce game with the guys that are staying behind, maybe against some opposition team, not necessarily like say like the under-19s or the under-20 squad. Try and get another team maybe. It would obviously probably be like the Scottish Championship level squad or something. See if they can send a team in and just a wee hours game or something. I know it's not the same as an actual game, but it's a game type thing as opposed to training to help like your guys like Giamakis, Forrest, McCarthy and that to get maybe better minutes in that in their legs and stuff, and better sort of maybe work more on their sharpness and stuff that they're maybe not getting training. But it's like as I said, it's great options going forward, and that like the front three, like to obviously Kyogo as it stands, I think like he's got to go through the middle and Yotta's on the left. But for Abada again, you can't argue it. But to have Forrest coming on could probably push Abada on and vice versa, because we know what when Forrest had a proper challenge the last time and Roberts, we seen what it done to Forrest's game. It brought him on and stuff. And just to kind of touch on Abada a wee bit, like I'm not wanting to dig some out like anybody out and stuff and that, but as another podcast, like another Celtic podcast that I really like listening to, but a guy on it made one of the worst statements in the world when he said that it was after the Ferencváros game. So I'm narrowing it down to who it can possibly be. It's went down to three folk.
It's like I'm in the quiz. It's like I'm in the quiz here. Come on.
And then he actually said that after Abada's goal against Ferencváros, it proved what he's been saying for weeks, that Abada should be playing through the middle because he's never a right winger. And nobody in the show pulled him out of it. And I'm
Excuse me?
this guy has scored about, is it 7 goals and 5 assists for right wing? But if that's not working, long may it continue to not work for Abada. It's just like, and I do like that podcast. Like, it's for the Celtic State of Mind podcast, and I really like that. But when
he just names it. He just.
I'll name the podcast. I'll not name who it was.
You sure it wasn't John that said that? Sounds like something John would say.
Honestly, it wasn't. It wasn't. I honestly couldn't believe the statement. But yeah, we have got depth in the squad. We've got options. So it's like Ross and Williams. It's a good conversation to have, Stephen. That you're going, who could make an impact? Could this guy make an impact? And the guys like Forrest, they're internationalists, so you've actually got internationalists on the bench now.
Yeah, it seems like the need.
Carty the night.
It seems like the.
I couldn't believe it when I heard that statement. Couldn't believe it.
It seems like the knee, Francis. You threw down a wee gauntlet to the Celtic State of Mind guy. So whoever said that,
I've got a lot.
He wants a challenge.
It'll be like Anchorman or the podcast, joining, rocking up with axes and machetes and that.
I'll still be holding the jackets. If that's not working, I want it to long way no work.
I think we should slate him, because every time we criticise a player or even the next game they fucking score a hat trick. So another shite.
Aye. So it's Giamakis. Anybody that's going to be helping now?
Giamakis is pretty. Yeah, I'm not going to end up. But look, I mean,
he's no shite.
I want to throw. He's not shite, but he needs to perform a wee bit better for me. I think he's trying too hard as
He's trying too hard because he's not getting a lot of time when he comes on the park, and he's trying to make as big an impact as he possibly can in the small window that he's featuring.
And I think
things are not coming off from him. Things are just not coming off.
He doesn't want to try and get involved in the game and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. And here, this is a wee curveball here. Right? It might be a bit stupid, right? So all week, I don't know why this is happening, but I keep thinking about Jiri Jarosik. Do you remember him? Play for Celtic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He keeps popping into my mind, and I don't know what it is, but
I'm trying whether you're going with this, but
I know he wet dreams about him or what?
No.
William, will you stop talking filth on the podcast? That's two podcasts in a row.
I mean, I'll come to yourself when you first. I'll come to yourself. I'll come to yourself when you first. What memories do you have of Jiri Jarosik, if any, if you can remember?
God.
What the fuck is going on? Yeah,
I just want to know if
bring him back. Bring him back. Him and Wanyama in the centre of the park.
In my head, I've convinced myself he's a brilliant player or something. I don't know. Jesus, and this must be those stupid flashbacks from the Gordon Strachan thing. But look, again, that brings us to the end of the show in terms of the podcast. But the quiz is back, and what I will
So
say
we're not
before it
talking about
continues,
Jarosik, no?
no, because you guys kind of pitched on it, so I'll just leave it.
Aye, quite right.
He was brilliant. I think he was brilliant in Championship Manager.
I
I think I signed up for a few teams and that.
But look, I will say this before we continue to the quiz between Francis and William tonight, that if you are liking what you're seeing, please just subscribe on YouTube. I think we're 9 away from 500, which for us is a fantastic milestone, and we appreciate everyone's continued support of the podcast, and but we look forward to making many more to come in years to come as well. But look, we'll move on to the quiz between Francis and William. If Ross, you can be the referee, you can be the John Beaton, so you can take John's official role.
John Beaton's not as good looking as me. Sake.
No,
Bobby Madden? No, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of the hair here. No hair. Sorry,
I don't know. I'll just be John Anderson for the Gladiators. How's that?
Contenders are ready.
Podcasters ready.
are you ready?
Right, carry on.
Aye.
Right. So as we know, it's an international break coming up. But what's Celtic's next domestic fixture?
St. Johnston.
No, it's
1-0.
not. Oh, the
It
league.
is.
I thought you were on about a league game.
Alright.
No, domestic in Scotland. So, and what competition is that fixture in?
League Cup.
2-0.
I think
Williams on
I think it's actually called the Premier Sports Cup. To be fair.
I mean,
We'll give it
John Anderson's coming in here. This is my moment.
Franny's starting. I'm going to square go Franny too. That's a state of mind on me. I'm going to square go with Franny.
Right, 2-0 to Franny, right? So, right, so Kyogo.
I'm going to do the Christian Daly soon, by the way.
You
cheating bastard!
Kyogo Furuhashi is Celtic's current Japanese boy, but can you name 2 Japanese players that play for Celtic?
Nakamura and Chaduri.
Chaduri was Korean. Koki
Nakamura
Mizuno.
who? Yes,
Koki Mizuno.
yes, he gets it. Koki Mizuno and Suzuki Nakamura. William,
Fucking shambles.
where were you? William, come on here.
Jordi
Chaduri.
Alba.
Right back was Chaduri.
Here, by the way, Chaduri was lightning fast, wasn't he? He was quick.
Aye.
He was an absolute monster. Right
You'll be hearing dreams about him for a week now.
Stephen just wants
It's
to
just-
band back together.
I just want everyone. I want Scott McDonald in. I want Jiri Jarosik, Paul Hartley, Barry Robson. I get them all in. Get them all in that mid-team. But William, not only did I make that an easy quiz by popping in things I asked during the podcast, and you still fluffed it, man. Come on,
I
let's
can't
get into the
use
game.
that fucking hair put me off. Jedward.
Here, leave that Irish stuff in there. It's like, come on.
You went proper Irish here.
I know.
That accent's thicker than your hair.
That was better than Kyogo's second goal, by the way.
I deserve that from you, Ross. I do deserve that from you. Fair play, man. Fair play. But look, that brings us to
At
the
least
end
you're
of the
here
show,
to defend yourself.
Oh, nah. Have you enjoyed it? Have you enjoyed it?
brilliant,
man.
Great laugh.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Been a brilliant laugh. And
Celtic are
It's
super.
getting better and better each week, and like just to touch on what Big Stephen was saying, that the feedback and that, and the subscribers we're getting. John's told us about emails from people from Australia and all sorts. So and we're just glad everybody's, because we love doing this, and it's like we all just sitting here laugh, man, and that's what it's all about. And it seems like everybody enjoys that, so we really appreciate it. And just keep it coming.
yeah, on that note, to everyone who's listening and watching, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.